Welcome to the Baker Buzz, where we celebrate the voices of Baker College. Since 1911, our mission has been simple and powerful, creating better futures, one student at a time.
Hi, I'm Aaron Maike, and I'm your host today for the Baker Buzz. I'm so glad you're here to hear another story about what makes Baker College so special. Today I'm here with Rebecca Fox-Zunt. She's a Baker College Culinary Institute of Michigan graduate, and now she's in our nursing school. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to be here.
I'm so glad you're here today. I know it's taken some time to schedule this with your busy nursing school studies, but really glad you took the time to come in.
Yeah, me too.
So talk to us about your journey at Baker College and what made you return back to school to become a nurse.
Okay, yeah. Quite a backstory to that. So, like you said, I graduated from the Culinary Institute of Michigan. That was in 2018. Had a wonderful experience there. Really grew as a person. I owe that a lot to the staff and the faculty, I feel. They were very supportive during my time. And I decided to move to Cleveland, lived there for 4 years about. Was able to work with a school down there, and I was able to work with incarcerated men and women and work within a kitchen to give them a culinary degree, and I was also able to work in a shelter kitchen. So I was able to use that degree to its fullest, I feel. And then when I met my husband, he kind of rekindled in me the thought of possibly going back to school, because he's a very, how do I say, he's really into the academics. He has a long history of going to school and going for a couple degrees himself, and changing careers himself. So that kind of inspired me to maybe kind of look back at something I was thinking about when I was 18. So we went down to COSI, which is down in Columbus, Ohio, and they had this really cool exhibit with the different cadavers and anatomy of the human body, and I stayed in that exhibit for hours. He said, come on, Rebecca, can we go and check out the dinosaurs? Because you've been in here for a very long time. And so when I realized that, like, this stuff is really cool, I started thinking about maybe I should go into something that included health sciences. So while I was working full time, I took 1 or 2 classes just to dabble in it. And I found out that I was actually pretty good at it. So that kind of led me down to the nursing program. And I was pursuing Cleveland State University. And then we kind of had a change of heart, and we thought maybe we should go back to Michigan and try maybe going back to Baker College, because I had such a great experience there. And so that's what we did. Yeah, we went back to Michigan, and we're living in Sparta now and going to Baker College, and it's been good.
So talk a little bit about, it's very different lenses at Baker College. I mean, culinary to nursing. How has that experience been different in the nursing program?
I would say I'm much more involved this time around. I think the first time I was still working on my family farm, and I did have a lot of focus on that, because when you're an entrepreneur and a self-employed, it kind of consumes you. You're thinking about it all the time. So I think this time around, because I'm not concentrating on that, I'm more involved with things that are happening on campus, more involved with my classmates, understanding the other benefits of being a Baker College student. And that's what I think is the big difference this time around.
Oh, that's amazing. So are you part of the Student Nursing Association?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am.
And talk a little bit about what that is and what that student group does.
Yeah, I feel very grateful that there is something like that. I feel like when you're a nursing student, you're going through a very rigorous program. There's a lot of hardships with that, and your family actually goes through those hardships too. It's a supportive group. It's where we are raising funds for various causes. You're more in tune with what is going on in the industry. You're able to get information on scholarships. There's funds for, in case there's a student that goes through a life-changing crisis of that nature. And it was just, as soon as I heard about it, I thought, oh, I got to join this group. Yeah.
That's awesome. You just do good in the community and for your fellow students if they have a challenge.
Yeah, very much so.
So talk to us a little bit too. You work on campus as a work study. What's that experience like?
Well, I started as a work study, and my husband was like, hey, we just moved here. You're not doing really anything. Why don't you just be a work study? I never thought of it until he mentioned it. And that has opened my eyes to realizing how the staff is so much invested in each student. It allowed me to understand what a director of student affairs does. I think that's something I'm going to encourage everyone to do. I didn't even realize it until I started working in the office, how everyone in terms of the staff and the faculty look at the students holistically, understand where they're coming from. And I know each campus in Baker College is different, and each culture is different. And I think it's important for the students to realize that the college is looking at you as an individual and understanding your unique circumstances and barriers. So I think that was really eye-opening for me.
Wonderful. And we love having you in our office. It's so great to have student employees in to help, and it really helps bring students into the offices so that they do realize there's a whole support staff there to help get them through their degree. So you're an adult student, you have a family. How do you balance the rigors of that really tough nursing program with everything that goes on in your household?
Yeah, so I really wanted to be strategic in how I handled it. First off, I wanted to make sure, is this something I really wanted to do? I knew straight off the bat that I wanted to get into the healthcare setting. I knew this from culinary. I remember them mentioning at the very beginning, first class, you need to get in the industry. You need to go work in a restaurant. You have to realize that you're going to make a life-altering change, and you have to make sure that this is what you want to do. So I knew straight out of the gate that I needed to get into a hospital. I was thinking of volunteering. I was thinking of getting a job, and if I were to get a job, it had to be flexible. So I was looking at resource or PRN positions at hospitals. And I will tell you, honestly, it was very, very hard for me to get into a hospital at the very beginning because I had zero experience on my resume. And I had some rejections at the beginning, and I thought, how am I going to get my foot in the door? Especially with a career choice later in life, I need to make sure that I can get my foot in the door. So it was actually through one of the Baker College faculty that I was able to get my resume seen by recruiters at Mary Free Bed, and I was able to get a job interview that way. And
so you're working at Mary Free Bed now as well?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you work at the college, you work at Mary Free Bed, and you're a full-time nursing student.
And more on that.
And an adult.
I'm also working for Corewell too. So I took what experience I gained at Mary Free Bed, and now I'm also working at Blodgett and Butterworth, all as PRN. So I can choose the days I work for the most part, but it allows me to adjust to the semesters. Every semester is going to be different. Every test is going to be different. I notice like last spring, I'm going to study a whole lot more than the previous semester, so I need to free up my time. And then that's the reason why I wanted to make sure that I had flexibility.
Sounds like your calendar is very full, but you do a great job of managing and controlling it.
Yeah, I try.
You try. So much like culinary, nursing is a really hands-on field. What are some of the labs like in nursing, and how, just explain what you do in the labs and what that experience has been like.
Yeah, so when we're working within the labs, it is preparing for everything that we are going to be doing during the clinicals. For those who may not know what that means, clinicals is when you go into the hospital. That's when you're shadowing people. I take it where, you're working on mannequins within the labs, and there's always that element of how is the patient reacting to what you're doing to them. So you always have to kind of play in your mind. It's like theater. So you really have to. You're an actor, and the mannequin is your other actor, your supporting actor. and you're trying to simulate what that's going to be. And it's hard sometimes. But if you go through the motions a lot with your classmates, meaning you're just going to talk it out, you're basically writing out a script and you're understanding the steps and you're running it by your classmate, that's very helpful. And some of the things that we do would be like IV starts, dressing changes, starting IV pumps, anything that we are anticipating to do in the clinical for that semester, we're going to do in lab first.
That's really amazing. Our nursing lab, like all of our other health science labs, truly replicates what a hospital room looks like and how you would have to do the work.
So there's real to life IV pumps, for instance. There's in the first semester we did head to toe assessment, which was very thorough. So it is fully equipping you to what you're going to see in real life, for sure. And there is a lot of equipment in there that I see in the hospitals every single day. Yeah.
Very cool. So returning to school, higher education, education in general, it's not easy. And to come back as an adult, you had been successful already, but it's a totally different degree. How did you adjust? How did you build your confidence to be so successful?
I would say I did that through other people. I do not think I could have done it by myself. I think the pivotal point for me was when I went to the writing center. So I was going to through a class called pathophysiology, and I chose rheumatoid arthritis as a subject for a paper, and that was my first medical paper I was to write in college, and I was scared about it, I will be honest. It was a requirement to go to the writing center, which I've never done before. I was kind of glad in the end that was mandatory. I was able to find a nurse practitioner to look over my paper, and he gave such encouraging words to me that I thought, hey, I can actually do this thing, because I thought it was a huge mountain I couldn't climb. But as soon as he gave me those encouraging words and, here are some other scholarly articles that you should be looking at, and I was able to make a really strong paper, I felt like I got this. I can do this.
That's awesome. It's the village that helps build you up, right? It takes a village.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the DSA, Director of Student Affairs on the campus. And I think you're really fortunate in your relationship with our DSA in Muskegon because you worked with her at the Culinary Institute as well.
Oh my gosh, it felt so full circle. Yeah, so she was the program director for the culinary, and when I was pursuing a work study position, my academic advisor said, "Oh, let me team you up with Jamie." And I thought, wait, Jamie? I know her. So yeah, it was so funny and so full circle to go right back around and work with her.
I can see your eyes light up with that relationship, and
Yeah.
I just know how much you two work together on campus. It's so great to see that.
Oh, she's so much fun to be with.
So nursing is skill, of course, but it's also about compassion. Has there been a moment where you've truly felt the impact of that compassion and how it's so important to nursing?
Yeah. I think that's probably what drew me to it in the first place. I kind of did that in my previous position at the school down in Cleveland and working in the shelter kitchen. I kind of knew, I love culinary. I will never lose that love. But I wanted to show that side of the caring side of me a little bit more. And as I'm working more in hospitals and clinicals, I'm realizing that that's a big part of who I am. And it's just every day, just like talking to the patients and understanding where they're coming from and their fears about going home and dealing with these new life-altering changes. It's very... I'm glad that I can provide some, I'm hoping anyways, some encouragement to them. And I would have to say it's one of the few jobs, too, that I can come home and I can feel like I've done a really good job today and I feel fulfilled. I don't think many jobs can provide that. So I think I'm very fortunate to figure out things, maybe a little bit later in life, but I was still able to figure it out.
You still got a lot of years, and really what an impact you can make. And you see that on their faces and on improved life based on the care you're giving them. So talk a little bit about collaboration. Healthcare, you mentioned your position that you're working in right now, but there's nurses, there's MAs, there's this cast of people that provide care to patients in the hospital. How is collaboration critical to your field?
Yeah, you cannot do it alone. Like you said, it takes a village. It really does when you're trying to care for a patient. There's so many facets to it. So Mary Free Bed, I think, is a great example of that because you're in the later stages. They went through the acute care. Now they figured out some diagnoses and they got to a point where, okay, we're trying to get you set to go home. Let's include your family in that. Let's include physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. Let's include this huge village of people to get you better and get you home. And I can just think about it every single day. Like, I love that aspect of rehab where you are able, as a nurse, you're able to be part of the team that brings it to life. I don't know, haven't really worked in all of the other sectors, but I definitely can see it in rehab, and I really am falling in love with that aspect of it.
That's amazing. So the nursing program is lectures, labs, and clinicals. We've talked a little bit about those. Is there a skill that you really struggled with and now it seems really easy for you?
It would probably be approaching the patient. I know that sounds like, oh, that should be so easy, but when you're approaching a person that's going through a really hard time, maybe the hardest time in their life, you don't really know how to respond to that. You want to be that supporting voice for them, but you're not sure how to make sure that it is supportive and it is framed in the right way. So I think understanding it, and I am understanding it through lecture, clinicals, labs, and in person, just working at my job. I'm perfecting it slowly but surely, but I feel like I'm getting stronger and stronger in that respect. And at the beginning, I felt like that was the biggest problem for me, is making sure that I was approaching the patient appropriately.
It's got to be so tough in the hardest moment of somebody's life to be able to be compassionate and understanding and really to say the right things, not to make it more difficult on them.
Yeah. One of my former instructors said that they can teach us all day long, us nursing students all day long, but they cannot teach how to care for someone, like truly care for someone. You have to figure that out yourself in your own way. And some people, they feel like, oh, I'll just read a book about it. No, it has to be coming from the heart in order for you to be genuine with that patient.
Absolutely. So looking ahead, you mentioned a little bit about you think rehab might be where you want to land as a nurse. Talk a little bit about why you think that's where you want to be. I
think it's because I can build rapport with the patient. I think I value that very much. Just seeing the progress. I also think in the future for me, teaching is also important. That's where I was in my former position as a culinary instructor. So I really do love teaching people. I do feel like I can break down things into steps that are manageable and also picking up on things where maybe this person isn't speaking up about what they need. I can kind of pick out, okay, you need support in this area. But I love rehab because I can build that relationship with that patient. In other sectors of nursing, you don't get that time with them. Like emergency department, maybe you have 20 minutes or an hour. In med-surg, you may have just a couple days. But with rehab, you have them for days, weeks, or months. So that's what I like about it.
Build a really strong relationship with somebody and see their progress.
Yes.
That's amazing. So you talked a little bit about teaching. You mentioned that you may want to teach in the future. Are you going to go on for another degree, you think? Maybe a master's degree so that you can teach?
With my husband by my side, for sure. He's always like that. You got to go further. He's always aspiring to do more himself, and he kind of rubs off on me.
That's awesome. That'll be really great. We'd love to have you back as a faculty member in the future. So, Rebecca, anything that we haven't covered or any advice that you'd give somebody who's considering, in your case, a career change as an adult student, or maybe just considering this as a career field and they're just thinking about college?
Okay. So I would say you have to factor in that you are also affecting other people around you. So as an adult learner, I'm in a much different stage in my life compared to where I was when I was doing culinary. In culinary, I was focused on myself, and I really was only affecting myself. In this stage of my life, I'm affecting my family. So you have to be conscientious of it's going to have repercussions. There's going to be some really hard times during a nursing program that's very rigorous. It's emotional at times, and you have to make sure you have support with your family, and also try to find connections with the classmates that you have, because they're going through the exact same thing. And so I think it's very important to not feel alone when you're going through those difficult times, and also trying to utilize what the college has. So connecting with the people that you need to know, like the director of student affairs or your academic advisor or your instructors, and try to do it as early as possible to understand the expectations. And if you were to run into a problem, like I was really struggling with pharmacology, I probably was like halfway through when I realized that I need to change something with my studying practices. So I made it a point to talk to the faculty member, the instructor, and she laid out a whole plan of, okay, if you don't work this way, if you don't use flashcards, use this way. Or if you're busy on the weekends because you're working 12-hour shifts, do it then. So she kind of laid out a strategy for me that made me reassess how I was studying. And I did it early enough to make sure that I was able to pass it.
And listened to you and made it individual based on how you learn and your schedule.
Yeah, very unique. I think other colleges and universities, you're a student within a sea of students. And I think at Baker, you can be more, things can be more tailored to you. And that's one of the reasons why I came back, because I knew about that.
That's awesome, Rebecca. Thank you so much. So as I'm sitting here listening to you talk, some of my favorite days, obviously graduation is my favorite day, but the culmination of your nursing program, there's a pinning ceremony. This year I walked into the pinning ceremony, and there are so many powerful stories. I walked in a little bit late. I had a couple community events, and all of the staff was sitting in the back crying. I thought I walked into a funeral, but it was the power of those stories that you're talking about. We had a couple of graduates who had kids during the program and got to graduation. So what do you look forward to at the pinning ceremony? What do you think that message will be from you?
Oh, I would probably be a person that's crying. I would probably be one of those students that can't believe that we got to this point. I wasn't able to go to my graduation for culinary because I had a wedding to go to. So it's going to be a big moment for me because I've never been to one myself. And I think I'll just be like overwhelmed with gratitude for everyone that got me to where I was. Yeah, can't wait for it.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
So Rebecca, anything as we're wrapping up here, any message that we haven't covered that our listeners might want to hear from you?
Oh, we covered so many things. I think anything else I was going to mention, I would just be underscoring what I already said. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come in and talk to us today.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Baker Buzz. Please follow us on social media for more information about Baker College. And until next time, go out in the world and do something great.